Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited to do our first ever cooking segment, Cooking con Corazon, with Chef Johnny Hernandez. Thank you so much for being part of this, Chef Johnny.
Thank you.
Thank you. This event is scheduled to start at 6:30, but we had such a tremendous response to this event that we're going to wait just a few more minutes for others to join. I'll do introductions in a bit, so relax, unwind, get yourself something to drink, and run to the bathroom if you need to, and we'll be right back in just about 3 minutes or so. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Meuth. I'm with the Baptist Health System. February is Heart Month, and we wanted to do something a little bit different. We're excited to partner with Chef Johnny Hernandez to learn how to prepare his special recipe this evening in just a few minutes. We also have with us this evening Emily Meuth, registered dietitian for the Baptist Health System, who will be able to give us more information about the health benefits of some of the ingredients in the recipe and tips on how you can also make this recipe a little bit more heart healthy. We hope that you will enjoy tonight's event to be able to learn some culinary tips from our San Antonio and world-renowned Chef Johnny Hernandez and our clinical dietitian, Emily Meuth. This is the first time that we do something like this, so we appreciate you spending your evening with us, and we appreciate your patience with us as well. A few house rules before we get started. Please keep yourself muted. We highly encourage questions as we go along from the audience, so please use your question and answer box at the bottom of your screen. If you hover over the bottom, you'll see that box to be able to input your questions. We'll get to as many questions as we can. Again, we have a tremendous amount of people joining, so we really appreciate it. And we'll do the best we can to answer your questions. We may do a few anonymous polls as we go throughout the evening, and we will work those in as we can. February is Heart Month, and we will provide some resources at the end as we follow up after this evening for you to either find a doctor, sign up for our newsletter for more events just like this, and take a heart assessment test as well. A little bit about the Baptist Health System. We are proud to be named in the best regional hospitals by US News and World Report. We provide life-saving and heart-preserving services and treatments in high-tech facilities, including our accredited chest pain centers, cardiac catheterization labs, and our outpatient rehab centers. It is my honor this evening to introduce Chef Johnny Hernandez. He is one of the premier Mexican chefs in the United States and recognized as an authority on Mexican cuisine and culture. He's received acclaim in publications such as Texas Monthly, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Martha Stewart Living, the list goes on and on. He's been featured as a guest on Cooking Channel and on Bravo shows. He's recognized by Hispanic Business Magazine as one of the top 50 influential Hispanics and by Siempre Mujer magazine as one of the top 5 Hispanic chefs in America. And Chef Johnny has showcased his culinary expertise at the White House as guest chef to President Barack Obama. Chef Johnny, I also really want to thank you for helping us out when COVID hit by being one of the first to turn your restaurants into a pop-up mini grocery store or a little tiendita. Our clinical staff who works 12-hour shifts were having a hard time finding the necessities that they needed. So thank you from all of us at the Baptist Health System for doing that and for providing special hours for all healthcare professionals, not just at the Baptist Health System. I'm going to hand it off right now to Chef Johnny so you can tell us a little about what you're preparing tonight and walk us through it.
Thank you, Mary. That seems like so long ago.
We're still in it. I know it does. It's true.
I forgot about the grocery store, but not really. I didn't. We have a lot of great memories of trying to evolve when this all started. So it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. It's not often that I have a dietitian kind of looking over my shoulder to see what I'm doing. So a lot of pressure on me today.
No, not at all.
But no, it's today, if not familiar with our restaurants, I'm a chef owner of La Gloria. The second restaurant I opened was Fruteria. We have Burgerteca, where I just came from. And if you're traveling, sometimes you'll see us at our airport. I know many of you haven't gone to see a Spurs game, and we're at the AT&T Center. So, we're I'm excited to be, with you this evening. A lot has happened in the last year, and I think a lot of us have been maybe cooking a little bit more at home. So hopefully, these two recipes I'm preparing will give you some ideas and some tips. Both of these recipes are from our fruteria menu. If you've not been to our fruteria, the fruteria Botanero opened up in Southtown about maybe almost 8 years ago. And so we have a licuado, which is a Mexican smoothie that is made with orange juice or citrus base, not to be confused with uh, licuado and jugos are the two different types of references to pureed smoothies in Mexico. This it'll be a jugo today. I'm sorry. So our que fresa is a jugo that's made with strawberries, citrus, and some pineapple. And then I'm going to be making for you a tostada de tinga. So tinga, many of you who've had tinga, it's usually shredded chicken, but tinga means shredded or stewed and shredded. And this is a recipe that I had in Puebla. In Puebla is probably the first place I had it. So it's the chicken tinga is from Central Mexico, and today's tinga is going to be with chicken. So I'm gonna walk you through. I know a few of you may be cooking. I'm not exactly sure if you are.
In fact, Chef Johnny, I'm going to do a quick poll and ask how many participants might be cooking alongside Chef Johnny. And if you're not, that's fine too. We're just kind of curious to see.
Okay, so we're gonna make a jugo.
Go ahead. Yes,
I'll
tell
make
you the poll in just a minute.
then chicken tinga, and I'm gonna make it as a tostada. So if you've not had a tostada, a little crispy corn tortilla base that I'll get into. So I'm gonna I'm gonna stair step a few things. I'm gonna get the chicken going right away, so we don't run out of time. The chicken tinga can be made with breast. You can even buy the chicken, and this is just a whole chicken fryer. It's been rinsed. I'm going to put just the breast to cook right away in some hot water that I have on the stove. All right, because I want to, I think we have an hour, so it should give me enough time to make this dish from start to finish. And sometimes I've done this recipe and I may have cooked chicken, and I do have some cooked chicken in case we run out of time, but I want to show you from start to finish how to make it.
So Chef Johnny, I did the poll, and about 15% are cooking, 85% are watching.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook just the breast. I took the breasts off the carcass, and obviously the thighs, I'll use those a little later in something else. I'm going to take the skin off. We won't need the skin, especially because the dietitian is watching. And the skin, although it's delicious, it does have additional fat that we're going to try to we don't want to sacrifice flavor, right? But we want to have as much flavor without adding too many calories. So I have the breast here.
A little bit of skin, just a little bit.
Well, for this recipe, we don't need the skin because the sauce in the tinga is delicious. All right, so I'm going to drop the breast right into the boiling water, which I have here already boiling. Okay, I have my seasoning. There's a little bit of stock or a stock going already that has a little bit of onions and celery. Okay, so I just added onions. Or I should say onions, celery, carrots, and a little bit of garlic is in the water that is boiling here. So I'm going to get this going. A little bit of salt, not too much salt before they get after me. Okay, so our chicken has already started. Let me just rinse here. And I'm going to start the sauce for the tinga. So if you've had tinga, it's a tomato-based sauce with onions, garlic, oregano, a little bit of thyme. So what I want to do next is start the sauce preparation, and let's get that rolling right away. So We'll
So
get,
I'm going to ask Chef Johnny, I'm going to ask our dietitian, Emily, if you had to reduce the salt, what are some ideas to continue to add flavor?
okay.
You can add flavor using herbs. You know, Mrs. Dash is a sodium-free seasoning that you can use, but garlic, onion, herbs, spices are a great way to add flavor without adding salt and sodium to the recipe.
For sure. You know, herbs, I mean, if you do not have herbs handy, you know, I mean, I think everybody should have a small herb garden. And if you have fresh garlic, you know, citrus, you know, there's a lot of things that I think can add flavor and not necessarily, you know, add a lot of calories. So onions, garlic, herbs, spices, you know, using good oil, you know, obviously a great olive oil. All these things add layers of flavors that are important to the dish. So I have I have garlic, I have onions, we have tomatoes, and this will be the tomato-based sauce for our tinga, okay? So we'll just use a couple Roma tomatoes. And the dish itself will have a lot of oregano and a little fresh thyme. So I'm just slicing. I'll put everything here and I'll show you close to the camera. The sauce for tinga is a slow simmered sauce, okay? It takes time, patience, and so really this dish, although I'm gonna do it in an hour, you probably wanna take your time making the sauce. And if you're cooking the whole chicken, obviously a whole chicken's gonna take a lot longer to cook than just the breast, because I took the breast right off. So I have garlic, onions, and tomatoes. So I'm gonna saute all of this in a little bit of olive oil, okay? And this will be the beginning of our sauce. All right, and like I said, tinga can be beef, can be pork. We know it as chicken most often, so.
Oh, I don't know why I thought tinga had I just thought it meant it had a pepper for some reason, but I'm wrong.
That means what? I'm sorry?
I thought it meant it had like a pepper of some kind, that it was spicy.
Well, I mean, it has chipotle. Chipotle is a traditional ingredient for chicken tinga, okay? So that's where the heat is gonna come from. All right, so I have the sauce going here, or let's say the base. We're gonna cook down these tomatoes, these onions, this garlic. We're gonna get this cooked, simmering down, and then I have a little bit of tomato paste, and then I have the chipotle peppers here that are chipotle peppers in the US. Typically, you're gonna find it in a can, and it may say chipotles and adobo, but it is a smoked jalapeno that really comes from Veracruz. Okay, it comes from the state of Veracruz is where chipotles come from, but it has a maybe many people know that it is the restaurants, right? It's yes, it is a restaurant where they sell burritos, but it is also a delicious chili from Veracruz, Mexico. And the heat on it, you know, sometimes it's a little intense, so you got to be careful. And the heat on anything you're making that's Mexican, you want to, you know, obviously adjust as you go. I'm going to use a little bit of oregano and thyme, fresh oregano, fresh thyme. These grow super easy. I know that everything has died in your yard in the past week. And if you go to my garden, I think the oregano is still there. My thyme is still there, but a lot of other things did not do well with the freeze, okay? But
Chef Johnny, we have a few questions coming in from some of our participants.
okay, I'm ready. So I'm gonna add oregano and a little thyme to our sauteed pan, okay? So just so you know.
Okay. For someone, this is a question from Laura. For someone like my father who cannot have tomatoes, what can be used instead of tomatoes?
Can't have tomatoes. Well, a tomatillo, can they do tomatillos? Because tomatillos aren't tomatoes. Tomatillos, the green tomatoes, they look like a tomato, but they're not a true tomato. Maybe a tomatillo would be wonderful in this sauce because a tomatillo is a husk from the husk family. It's not a tomato, you know, at least by genetics or origin.
And maybe if it's the seeds, it's maybe tomato sauce instead of tomatoes. If it's a seed, some people can't have seeds.
Right. Yep. No, I've heard that for sure.
Yeah. My husband's one of them.
You know, I think that this recipe, what we're making is a tostada, and tostadas are very fun because you can have different ingredients. You can build it with different proteins, different garnishes. So when I get to building the tostada, we can talk about some of those substitutions because escabeche de pollo, shredded chicken, that's another recipe that we make a lot in our restaurants, and we use that as for tostadas as well to build. So I have my chicken going, I have my sauce going, and I'm going to start the, I want to make the licuado for you. So let me just check our chicken here. It's
okay.
Simmering.
While you're checking the chicken, we have another question for you. It's about restaurants. Oh,
can I say something about the tomatoes? So if your father can't have tomatoes because they're high in potassium, tomatillos would be a good substitute for a tomato because they are going to be lower in potassium, if that's the reason why he can't have tomatoes.
Thank you for that. We have a question from Phyllis Viagran. Hi, Phyllis. Thank you for joining us this evening. Her question is, Fruteria is being renovated. When will it reopen? And will there be any new items on the menu?
Well, yes,
ready to go.
I'm dying to reopen. Well, I'll tell you what. I hope that our fruteria can be reopened, let's say 3-4 weeks tops, okay? What happens is I'm renovating, and every time I turn around, I want to do something else to the, you know, I'm like, well, I better fix it because I'm not going to have a chance to fix it later. So I should have already been much closer to opening, but I'm not. There will be a brand new menu with a lot of new food and new cocktails. We're going to keep the favorites. And if you've not been to the fruteria that they're asking about, it's at 1401 South Flores, right in Southtown, right? I mean, just on the edge of downtown. So but follow us on social media. I'll start posting. I'll probably get into the kitchen maybe in about 2 weeks to start developing the menu. So I can't wait. I'm dying to get into the kitchen, but right now we're painting, sanding. I'm redoing the bar, a whole new look. You're not going to recognize it. It's going to be amazing. I get really into the decor, and I think it's going to be a just fresh new look that you'll enjoy. So I'm making a licuado that is from the fruteria called Que Fresa, and I have my citrus. So I'm going to do a little grapefruit, a little bit of orange, and this recipe has a little bit of pineapple. And I know fruit isn't perfect right now. Your citrus is okay. Your apples, you know, you have, you know, pears. But a licuado or a jugo, you know, are important. I think parts of any good diet, because there's nothing like great fresh fruit in the morning, and seasonality is important, right? So if you're enjoying a licuado or a jugo of the fruta, you know, you definitely want to be making it with seasonal fruit. And, you know, I know that the magic of transportation these days allows us to really have fruits all year long. But there are some important seasons to keep track of, and seasonality is important for fruit. Okay, so this particular licuado is, you know, the strawberries are the kind of the star. So I'm going to juice my orange, my grapefruit. There's a little bit of pineapple, that's probably too much, and then the rest are strawberries. I mean, these are beautiful strawberries. You know, there's you know, berries are a little, you know, blackberries, raspberries are probably a little bit more common, you know, in these winter cold months. Nothing would survive what we just had last week, but the licuado is one of our popular jugos that's on the menu. So,
Chef Johnny, I'm going to ask Emily just to talk a little bit about the nutrients in each of the vegetables that you see him preparing there.
okay.
Well, I mean, all fruit is gonna have a lot of micronutrients in there and natural sugar. So it's one thing to be able to get that natural sugar and sweetness without adding too much extra sugar to your diet. So I support all fruit in this recipe.
So I'm gonna put, if you don't have one of these juicers, they're the best. And the thing about citrus fruit is, you know, the membrane of the fruit is bitter, right? So if you're using a press, it's gonna be a lot more sweet than if you use, let's call it like a centrifugal juicer, right? Because a centrifugal juicer will agitate the bitterness in the membrane of the fruit. So I like to use a press, okay? So we have a little bit of fresh grapefruit, orange. Keep an eye on the stove because I don't want to ruin our sauce. That's going. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of jugo, you know. All right, we'll add jugo. We're going to add some strawberries. I know you have a recipe, right? And I added a little pineapple to this when I developed this recipe years ago, just to add layers of flavor, and I think the sweetness of the pineapple I love. I'm gonna ask the dietitian to look the other way and add a little sugar. And so we add a little bit of ice to this. And at our fruteria, we make all different kinds of jugos. Some are even some with vegetables, some with even oats and stuff. So this is just a simple strawberry, pineapple, citrus jugo that we call que fresa, right?
So while he's doing that, I'm going to ask another question, do another poll. Let's see. I'm going to ask about his restaurants. And I'll let that poll come up. Give me just a second.
Some questions about the restaurants?
Yes, the question is, have you been to one of Chef Johnny Hernandez's restaurants, La Gloria, Burgerteca, or La Fruteria? Oh boy, that's amazing. So we have 90% of everybody on has been to your restaurants.
Oh man.
So we've got the 10%.
Our chicken's almost cooked, so I'm gonna let that go for another couple minutes. Our tomato sauce is cooking down. You can see it. So you can smell the oregano, the thyme, the onions, the garlic. All right, so it's cooking down nice and soft, nice and tender, sweating it out. I added just a little bit of stock from this pot. I don't know if you saw that because it's cooking down and it's drying. It's getting very concentrated. All right, so this is our que fresa, a simple licuado. These are very healthy. You know, again, seasonality is important for licuados.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to, again, orange juice and grapefruit juice is the base for this jugo. I keep saying licuado. Some people call them licuados, some call them jugos, but a licuado in Mexico typically has a dairy product. And jugos is made with jugo, just the juice of citrus typically is the base. So you have orange juice as the base, and then they'll make any kind of combination where it's bananas, apples, pears, strawberries. And, you know, these are very typical street side stands in Mexico. So it's those strawberries are actually really good for being.
Okay, you're making me very thirsty now. I want this.
All right, so I have, so to this sauce, okay, to the sauce of the tinga, I'm going to add a little bit more chicken broth. So you can use the chicken broth to thin it out a little bit, because I just want to show you, really, because it's really important to. So add a little bit of tomato paste, okay, and then the chipotle peppers. I'm gonna bring this over here so you can see this. So I added tomato paste, and these are the chipotle peppers, really, which are a signature of the dish. And this is in a can, okay? It's in the Mexican food section, and they're called chipotle en adobo, okay? So I added a little bit of the adobo and the chipotle pepper in there. And this is what really adds so much flavor and that smokiness to it. All right, so typically what I would do is this would simmer at least another 20 minutes. All right, okay. So once this is cooked down and simmered down, and I know we gave you a recipe, you know, check salt, a little bit of black pepper if you love pepper, and then this would get pureed either in a blender, or you can use a stick blender as well. Okay, so I really want to show you, I want to take this down a little further so you get to see kind of the richness of the sauce come together. I'm going to take out our chicken that's already cooked, right? And that cooked, I don't know how much time do I have?
You're good. It's 7 o'clock, but I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Maya is asking, what is your favorite spice or vegetables to use in your dishes?
You know, it's hard to do anything without garlic. But I mean, you know, cilantro is such a key component of Mexican food. But I love herbs. Man, it's
can't choose just one.
You can't do Mexican food without great chiles, you know. So here we have, see how fast that cooked the chicken breast. I mean, I know nowadays you can buy shredded chicken at HEB, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing like cooking your own, that's for sure. In chicken tinga, I'm gonna spread this out a little bit so it cools off. All right, and I'm gonna just pull it apart. All right, so here's the sauce. There's a little bit of oregano. I added oregano, so fresh oregano, fresh thyme. You can smell the chipotle peppers. Well, you can't. I can smell it, and the people behind the camera can smell it.
My team there can. Yes, I'm very jealous.
And then probably the best thing to do is allow it to sit for a few minutes and then puree it in the blender really smooth. The only thing that we like to do at the restaurant is we'll take a little bit of the onions and the tomatoes. All right, and we'll take it out of the sauce. Basically, we'll reserve that and puree this and then add that back for texture. Okay, it'll be the only thing that I'll show you or that you'll see in the finished product. And then here you have.
Johnny, I have a few more questions when you're ready. You let me know.
And then, yep, and then here you have the pureed product. Okay, but what it needs is more cooking time. That needs at least another 15-20 minutes of slow simmer, and then it'll come together so nicely. But this is the finished product right there that would be pureed, just like that. Okay. And you said you had a question?
Yes, I have a question from Jennifer. She's saying, when you want to be healthy and you're exhausted, chicken tinga is a great choice. What other dishes do you pull together or go to when you're tired and don't really have a lot of time to cook?
You know, probably one of my favorite go-to is probably like ceviches. You know, I love seafood. Seafood is probably, if you told me or asked me what would be the one protein is my favorite, I could eat seafood the rest of my life and, you know, probably not need another piece of beef or pork. But ceviches are very simple to make and they're delicious. They're very healthy for you. You know, I mean, you got to be careful with tuna. You know, some of the, you know, the tuna sometimes is really rich, or the mercury in some of the fish. But ceviche typically is made with a very light white fish. So it tends to be made very healthy, saludable, right? So this is the chicken breast. I'm just pulling it apart. And we're not far from really assembling a tostada here, okay? So while I'm pulling this apart, I went ahead and put the sauce onto the stove. And then this chicken will just mix right into the sauce, and then we'll continue to kind of simmer it down. most of the tinga that you're going to see is made with shredded chicken. Okay. And, you know, I think last week I was at HEB and I think I bought one of the roasted, you have those whole roasted chickens.
Yeah, I do
I
that. Yes.
pulled those apart and I made pollo like in salsa, actually with like a tomatillo. But those are, I mean, again, those type of convenience products really help, you know, help you eat healthy and fresh, right? So
Yeah.
I think that, yes, you got to probably be careful with the sodium level on some of those. So there's nothing better than making it yourself. So then there you have the shredded chicken, and I'm going to add that to that sauce that I showed you just a second ago. Okay.
I have another question for you. Can you talk a little bit about the concept coming to Brooks?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So we're excited. We just started construction at Brooks. And if you're not familiar with Brooks, you know, I know it's a lot of people might know where Brooks is, but Brooks is on the south side and it's on Military. And it's a beautiful development that has come together over the last few years. And, you know, I think, well, when Brooks closed as a military base, I actually did the big party with the jets that flew over when they turned over control of the base. General Dodd turned over control of the base to the city of San Antonio. Actually, I catered that event at Hangar 8 many years ago. Yeah.
Well, Hangar 8's still there. They still use the hangar.
Yes, yes. So at Brooks, we're going to open La Gloria. And then I have a surprise that you know, most people have been waiting for me to reopen a restaurant called Machito.
Yeah,
We had a restaurant in the Quarry for a few years. I think it was 3 years, and it was a grill concept, mesquite live fire. And I'm going to open up there on that Brooks site, that beautiful corner at Kennedy Circle or Kennedy Hill and Military will be the La Gloria and Machito. We're going to start off with La Gloria. It'll open up towards the end of this year. Okay, so in the next 10 months, come and see us. It's a beautiful new design. We're actually on the former golf course, the Brooks Golf Course. So there's big, beautiful oak trees. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous site. And then Machito will open up in the spring of next year. So we're going to have 2 restaurants there at Brooks. Now, so
you will be right next door to our Mission Trail Baptist Hospital.
All right. So there's our tinga, okay? The shredded chicken, the tomato, it smells really good. All right, so I'm gonna lower this. I'm gonna let that just come together a little better, cook down a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the garnishes that will go on our tostada. Now, if you've been to our restaurants, you probably have had our chips or our tostadas. So our tortillas are made in our molino. If you've, I know that we were selling some food to HEB. We're still selling food to HEB. We actually are launching a product line come May to all the HEBs in San Antonio, right? So we're going to have a La Gloria product line. And, you know, our friends at HEB, when COVID hit, I called my friends at HEB. I'm like, I need to be feeding somebody. And we you know, HEB was struggling keeping up with the demand. And we started selling food to HEB. Myself and a handful of other restaurants and chefs began.
Yeah, that was a great idea. Great idea.
Yes. So we've kept the relationship with HEB. We're going to expand the program. And we will be in all of San Antonio in May, mid-May. We launch with a new product line, taco kits. We have our roasted corn kits. We have we're going to do enchiladas. We're doing Mexican rice bowls, and then like tamale dinners and stuff. So
nice.
It's a lot more to come. Keep an eye on it. Come mid-May, you'll see the launch of all these wonderful products that. You know, that are recipes from our restaurants that, you know, we're now going to share with a lot more folks in San Antonio. So our molino is a key part of our restaurants. If you know La Gloria, you know, all the tortillas, these our tortillas, we work with growers in Mexico and in La Crosse, Texas. So we grow organic non-GMO corn. with our partner growers, and every day, right now, we're maybe cooking about 400 pounds of corn a day. We used to cook probably about 900 pounds, 1,000 pounds of corn a day, but obviously the business is still adjusting. So we are, but we still stone grind our corn every day. We make our tortillas, our masa for our tamales, our chips that we fry, the tostadas. Today's tostadas, we baked in the oven, and they taste very good, okay? You don't have to deep fry the tostadas, but that if you bake it, you save a lot of calories. So
you're making our dietitian smile.
Well, I didn't want to get in trouble, but if you fry your tostada, let's just say you're going to fry it. The best thing to do is to dry your tortillas. If you dry your tortillas overnight, just leave them laying out, and you allow them to air dry, they soak up very little grease, or very little cooking oil, I should say. So, I mean, there's different ways you can bake it. If you dry the corn product, it's going to crisp up really nice, and it will absorb very little oil, okay? These are baked. They work perfect, okay? So for our tostada, we have crema, okay? This is crema. This is avocado pureed with a little bit of cilantro, a little bit of onions, a little bit of lime. You could, it's very common to put a little bit of sour cream or Mexican crema in this, but this is, we kept the crema out. We have queso fresco, we have some radishes, and then we have shredded cabbage, okay? There's one thing I was gonna show you. I know many folks are afraid of, turn the chicken off, that's ready to go. We use this a lot in the kitchen, but I wanted to show you because the thing about of making food healthy, if you don't make it taste good, you're not going to eat it often, okay? Because I think I eat fairly healthy, but I also know all the tricks, right? All the layering of textures and flavors. This dish has a crispy tortilla base, right? It's going to have rich avocado crema. It's going to have savory chicken with tomatillo. And then it's just layer upon layer upon layer. But I wanted to show you, and this, again, this is just the texture of cabbage is really nice. Texture and flavor are important to build and to create healthy food. You have to do it. But I love these because, it's safer than a knife, I would say, if you're trying to really achieve a fine shred. So look at that fine shred. Soak it in a little bit of water. You soak it in a little bit of water and it gets nice and crispy. All right, so let's build, I'm gonna leave it there. Let's build our tostadas, okay? So if you go to the restaurant, we typically, well, not any restaurant, if you go to Mexico or Mexican restaurant, if you have a tostada, it's either gonna have crema de aguacate, it may have black beans, so depending on what the filling is or the topping is, but there typically is a crema on the bottom and of aguacate or black beans. So, and again, you can, the fun thing about tostadas, you can make them out of, you can make them out of any type of shredded product. They're a great vegetarian dish. I have to brag about our tortillas. I mean, I could smell the corn, right? So to make tasty food healthy, if you start off with a flavorless corn tortilla, it's not going to taste good, right? So, you have to buy flavor. You have to pay attention to those details of flavor. And because we stone grind corn, the flavor of our tostada begins with not only the wonderful texture of toasted corn, but the aroma and the flavor you can't substitute stone ground corn. Okay, so we have our tinga, okay? So I'm gonna put a little bit of tinga on each of these. All right, we have our avocado, we have our crispy tostada base. They're beginning to look really nice. This smells wonderful. I feel terrible that you can't smell it. The aromas are you know, they're filling up, they fill the kitchen. All right, so we put our tinga. And this is, I don't know how much time we have, but this is pretty quick. I mean,
That's okay. We have a lot of questions. So when you're done, we'll get to some of the questions.
so we put then we'll put a little bit of our shredded cabbage on top. All right. Again, adding layers of texture and flavor. No calories, or we're adding nice calories or good, safe calories. I don't want to get in trouble with the dietitian.
She's smiling.
I worked with a dietitian before, and they'd
It's
always
like the
get
police.
they would get after me. They're like,
well,
is that much? So a little bit of queso fresco, not a lot, but queso fresco is probably, aside from, obviously you got to be careful with the sodium, but it's probably one of the healthier quesos. It's, American cheese does not have as much fat and richness as Mexican cheese. So you're already, doing better by eating American cheese. In Mexico, the richness of Mexican cheese is, wow, it's off the charts. It tastes different. So American cheese, by just our standards of the type of milk used for cheese is different. So a little bit of shredded cabbage, of sliced radishes, and then some cilantro sprigs. All right. We'll add a few cilantro sprigs, just the aroma, more flavor, and good calories, no fat, no sodium.
Emily, what are the nutrition value of cilantro? I don't even know. I love cilantro.
But I mean, again, the aroma and the flavor of some of these herbs are I think essential for great cooking. So we are, we're always paying attention to those things. We have customers that have special diets. So as chefs, we have to be very in tune to ingredients and what type of, with some of the restrictions today on whether they're celiac or, low sodium, we have a lot of people that we feed that we have to be very careful with. But there you have it, our chicken tinga tostada, all right? And then our licuado that is a little, been sitting for a while, but here's our que fresa licuado.
Well, we have some questions about the licuado, if you don't mind me going back.
Oh, no, of course.
Can unsweetened canned pineapple be substituted for fresh? Because she can have fresh fruit due to allergy.
Pineapple is one of the few canned fruits that I, and personally as a chef, that I've used. Canned pineapple has the flavor of canned pineapple many times tastes better than some of the fresh. Okay, yes, the answer is yes. I think that there's been a lot of improvements on frozen products over the years, whether they're vegetables or fruit, because there are at the fruteria, let's say mangoes. We have maybe 3 or 4 months out of the year where the mangoes are terrible, and we buy frozen mangoes, from the Philippines or from tropical areas that produce great mangoes all year long, that have these microclimates where great fruit grows all year long. In the U.S., we don't have that. We don't have those climates that allow certain fruits of these tropical fruits to thrive. So, we buy frozen mango. I have bought frozen pineapple that's very good. Sometimes berries, some of the frozen berries. And again, the technique and the way these products are harvested now and frozen, they also produce a very consistent product. Because what happens is many of these companies that are packing these frozen products are able to pick and harvest closer to ripeness, right? When a pineapple is picked too early, it doesn't fully develop. When a mango is picked too early, it doesn't fully develop. But if a manufacturer is buying a fruit or growing a fruit product that's going to be frozen, they're able really to to grow the product and leave the product on the vine longer than if they're selling a fresh product at H-E-B many times, because you know, when you're trying to buy, when you're buying a fresh product off the shelf at the store, it has a long road that it takes from the field to your store. So I think that one of the benefits of some of the frozen products is they have better control of the ripeness of the fruit and the sugar content of the fruit. So it's not a bad thing. So that's a very good question. And we use some certain frozen, like guava. Guava is very good. You know, the wonderful, some of the best guava, you know, or guayaba. Passion fruit is another one. You know, so some of these tropical, they're all tropical fruits. Those are the toughest ones. You know, I love to make juices and licuados when melons are in season in Texas. You can't beat melons, you know, the melons in the summers and or our citrus fruits in the fall. You know, obviously our area, you know, I mean, we have some tough growing areas. So we don't, the fruits that we have that grow here locally within our region, you know, are limited. But the ones that we do have are very good. So melons, I mean, we put it in our tequilas, in our infusions. So licuados are an important part of our fruteria, and you'll see those on the menu as they come back with a bunch of new recipes.
So we have a comment about the fruteria, and then another question. An anonymous attendee said, "I hope you keep the cucumber margaritas at the fruteria, so don't get rid of them because they like them."
Right, that's a famous one, el pepino.
Well, I need to try that, I guess.
We're going to keep the pepino is probably the most famous of the. We actually, I don't know if you all saw our margarita truck. So
oh yeah,
we have the margarita trucks.
I have a poll about your margarita trucks. I'm going to put it up right now, and you'll find out some information. So I'm going to do.
So the whole margarita truck started as the Pepino Mobile, because we wanted the cucumber margarita was so popular. We used to sell those kits at the fruteria to go, and I mean we couldn't make them fast enough. When COVID hit and everybody was, you know, enjoying cocktails at home, we couldn't make enough of the pepino margarita, and I'm like, man, we got to take this on the road. So the whole concept began with the pepino, but we ended up obviously having more of a margarita theme, and we did the whole range. So we still have the margarita trucks. We have 4 of them now, and they go to different neighborhoods and HOAs and apartments.
We got to get more drivers, Chef Johnny, because it's about half and half. We're 47% know and have seen your margarita tricks, and then 53% have not. So we got to get on the driver.
Man, it's tough to be everywhere, but
I know we want you in every neighborhood. So
we've had fun with the margarita trucks, and then we have the food trucks now. So we have 4 margarita trucks and we have 4 food trucks. I posted a couple photos of our pizza truck. So I did a pizza truck. We've been feeding several construction sites with our food trucks. To this year, you know, this past week we were feeding a few churches on the west side of San Antonio. We were actually in Austin for the last 3 days. We've been in Austin feeding some warming centers of seniors and some folks that were still without power and water. So we have 4 food trucks and 4 margarita trucks now. And I can't wait to go back to just restaurants. And I don't mind the margarita trucks, but
nobody minds the margarita trucks. We all love them.
We'll make all the food trucks margarita trucks for summer.
We might have to drive those out to the hospitals at the end of the day or something. I don't know. Would you ever use an avocado in a drink like you just made, the licuada?
You know, I've made a cocktail with avocado that was delicious, and it had Herradura Silver. It was one of my favorite cocktails. You know, avocado has great texture, so I think for avocado, and I've experimented and I've made it in drinks before. An avocado, think of an avocado as a textural component of a dish or of a beverage. And it does puree really smooth. If you want like a creamy, rich, let's say, I don't know if you ever had like mamey, So there's, I was experimenting with licuados and jugos with avocados and mamey, but creamy texture because we were making ice creams. And so we've pureed avocados with mamey, with passion fruit, with guayaba, more of a yogurt base. So think of avocado with yogurt, but the avocado is more in the background. It's not really in the forefront of that cocktail or that beverage, because it tastes better with cilantro, I think, and onions and with a chip. I mean, it's tough to beat a good guacamole.
So another question, somebody is curious on how you make pickled onions.
I'll tell you a quick story. I was in the Yucatan about 15 years ago. Okay. This was maybe 7, 8 years before I opened La Gloria, our first restaurant. And I'm having dinner in the Yucatan, and I'm in Mérida and enjoying the food because Mérida has wonderful cuisine. The Yucatan has wonderful cuisine. And so I'm having dinner, and I sat down. I had just arrived. I sat down, and on the table were the pink onions, right, that are famous. They're everywhere. Cebollas curtidas. So I'm looking at the bowl, and I'm like, how did they paint those onions pink? I had never seen them before. And, and I saw them at different, and I asked a ton of questions when I traveled through Mexico as I'm doing my research and visiting different destinations. I mean, I'll ask the chef to come out or the señora to come out of the kitchen and ask her, what did you put in that sauce? How did you make this recipe? Whether I'm in a restaurant or a mercado, I always really try to get to the secrets of recipes. But so here I am in the Yucatan, and how did they paint or why would they paint these onions pink? I was thinking to myself. So then I start eating them, because down there they put habanero, right? They put the habanero chiles in it, so it's really spicy. So I couldn't enjoy it as much, but now we use them in a lot of things. But to make those beautiful pink, hot pink onions, we serve them at Burgerteca. We make them with a little bit of sliced serrano and lime juice and just a little bit of salt. We shave the onions very thin, kind of like the way I shave this cabbage. You want a really thin purple onion or red onion, fresh lime juice, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of heat, like serrano peppers. You don't have to do habaneros because those are really spicy. Some folks like to put a little bit of oregano or aromatics. And it will take about 2 days. You put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the fridge and forget about them. And in about 2 days, in a day, they'll start to turn pink. And in 2 days, they'll be a beautiful hot pink. So, and they're delicious. They are delicious on tostadas, on tacos. They're famous, obviously, for cochinita pibil. You see them on the cochinita pibil. It's one of the iconic dishes of Mérida or the Yucatan. So that has to be probably one of the most widely used, escabeches, right, or pickled items now, is those pink onions. I see them everywhere. Yeah. So
a couple more questions, if you don't mind. Do you still have time for us?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I have Patty who would like to know, how did you get started as a chef?
I grew up in the food business. My dad had a restaurant, and mom and dad had a restaurant in San Antonio, on the west side of San Antonio. So I grew up working in the kitchen there on the west side. And my dad had like a small cafe that was mostly Tex-Mex. And that was every day before school, after school, summers, weekends, the life of a restaurant, the son of a restaurateur. And so dad was a wonderful cook, a wonderful chef. Dad ran the kitchen, mom ran the dining room, and that's where I started. But I loved the kitchen, loved to cook, loved food. And then I traveled to New York. I went to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, to get my formal training as a chef, and worked throughout the U.S. and then finally came back home. So I'm born and raised here in San Antonio, and couldn't think of living anywhere else. Maybe a home somewhere on the beach in Mexico would be nice.
We have another special guest watching this evening. Laura and her 5-year-old son, Randy, are watching, and he aspires to be a future chef.
Wow.
And
Well, I'll tell you what.
where's your chef hat? He wants to know.
It didn't fit under
Saludos from Randy.
it didn't fit under this. But yes, I have chef hats and ball caps, and I have a nice collection of chef hats. When you're in school, I mean, right now, I mean, you're always got to be in sharp uniform with your apron, with your side towels and your neckerchief and your starch hat. I'll tell you a quick story. When I grew up, there was nothing more than I wanted to wear than that chef hat. And I grew up working in my dad's Mexican restaurant. And as I entered high school, I was doing a work program, and I told my teacher, Mrs. Trevino, I told her, you know, I want to be a chef. It'd be great to maybe get experience at a hotel. So she actually went she walked into the kitchen at the Marriott and got me a job. And I was so excited to put that hat on as a kid. And then I think I was maybe 17 years old, and I was there, worked at the Marriott before I went to chef school in New York. So it's been a fun, crazy career. And the hat is an essential part of your uniform, especially.
It's iconic. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially in school. Yeah. Nowadays, everybody has ball caps and all sorts of stuff, but in school, you got to wear that starch hat.
Yes. So I'm going to say, because it may cut us off, I want to tell you thank you. If we can continue, I have a few more questions, but Chef Johnny, thank you so much for joining us this evening and sharing your expertise and taking the time. Emily, you as well. We appreciate both of you being here. So thank you. I wanted to get that in case this cut us off. I don't think it will, but if it does, I apologize. And I want to thank everybody who has joined. We've had up to 68 participants this evening. So thank you all for joining this evening. I hope that you've enjoyed yourself, that you've learned some fantastic things from Chef Johnny, some ideas of how to make your recipe a little heart healthy for you. Again, after this seminar, we will follow up with you with an email to provide you resources to be able to take a heart assessment, to find a doctor if you experience any kind of conditions, or to find out how your heart is doing. As well as an opportunity to sign up for our newsletter where you will learn more about activities like this and other, doctor seminars where you can learn in various of our service lines, whether it's cardiovascular, oncology, orthopedics, women's services. So thanks again for joining. I'll continue with some more questions. I apologize if it cuts us off. Hopefully we can continue. One of the questions we had, and I really want to know about this too, what was your experience cooking for President Barack Obama?
Oh, wow. I was there for Cinco de Mayo. And Cinco de Mayo was a cultural celebration through the state of Puebla. So actually I did serve tinga as one of the items. I made it in a little pretty mini tostada. But it was an amazing experience to be at the White House, to be invited as a guest chef at the White House. They have an amazing team there. I was able to meet him and Mrs. Obama. We took pictures with the family. My whole family went.
Amazing.
In the Rose Garden, in the Oval Office. I got the private tour of everything. And, in her garden, Michelle Obama had a garden that she created with students from DC. So we went to the garden to pick stuff. I mean, what an amazing experience. I mean, such a historical, place, that it is. But I mean, I was there doing what I love to do, cooking, and it was a fiesta, right? So, I made a big taco station. Maná, which is a famous.
Oh yeah, Maná.
Guadalajara was playing. They had a small concert, and I enjoyed working with the team there, the culinary team, and beautiful facility, gorgeous space. I mean, what a memory! Definitely a highlight of my career. And we were just honored to be there. Special.
Another quick. Yes, I can't even imagine. That's amazing. So, we have another question. Where did we go to find the margarita truck each day?
So we will start neighborhood delivery in the spring. So in the next couple of weeks. So we basically took the winter off. We're trying to understand, what's tough about the margarita truck is that There's only so much area one can cover.
Mm-hmm.
We have a landing page, the margaritatruck.com, or you can go to La Gloria and then land on the Margarita truck. We're setting up a calendar of where we will be, right? So there's 4 trucks. The 4 trucks will be out. But it's so popular that what happens is people want to reserve it. So we're going to apartments, HOA, we're doing retirement parties, birthday parties, we're doing weddings, we're doing all sorts of events. So it's like we need at least 6 trucks to do neighborhood delivery, but we need another 5 or 6 to do private events. So whew, I don't know. I may buy a couple.
Do you need a business partner? Are you good? Or where you
it's very common to get emails for people that want to buy a Margarita truck or a franchise.
I bet. Yeah.
From all over the country. I think I've gotten at least 15 or 20 calls. But, it's tricky, the delivery, the logistics, the truck itself, how we equip it with the equipment, the generators.
It's bright pink.
The city shut down for a few days during the freeze, and I actually had a Margarita truck parked outside running my my electricity, because each truck has a big generator underneath it. So I was running lighting and heating in my house from my Margarita truck. So people thought, we're like, what is he doing?
Drinking all day.
Yeah, he's drinking all day. Yeah. This
Goodness.
chef guy in the neighborhood thinks he can do. Anyway, but the landing page or our website, but we will start neighborhood delivery come the second week of March. So around the corner. It's going to be tough because it's so popular and it's tough to be everywhere. One truck can only cover maybe 4 or 5 mile radius. So, we'll put one in Stone Oak, or we'll put one in Alamo Ranch, or we'll put one in Central San Antonio. We'll put one on the south side. And it's just, we can only cover about a 5 mile radius, we've learned, because, we have to be traveling back and forth to delivery drops. Because it doesn't, everything is in the truck. We don't come back to the restaurant. We're basically on the road for the whole 6 or 7 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we have so many more questions, but we are about 6 minutes over, and I don't want to keep you. And again, we appreciate your time with us this evening, and we thank everybody who has stayed with us. We still have 57 people with us, so we hope you will.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Everybody. Oh, go ahead, just have Chef Johnny. I'm sorry.
No, it's just thank you, and everybody have a beautiful evening. Come see us. We're trying to do things as safe as we can in our restaurants, and I know everybody's going through a lot, but some of these ideas, maybe cook them up at home. Spring is coming, and it's the best time to make licuados and tostadas. They're very refreshing. The texture and the freshness of them are definitely one of my favorite dishes. Tostadas from there's a place in Coyoacán, Mexico, that I go to, a tostada bar, where many years ago I said, I'm going to open up a restaurant and sell tostadas one day. And of course, opening up a fruteria. These are definitely one of my favorite dishes. So I hope you learned a few things and you enjoyed some of the techniques that I shared.
Absolutely. And thank you for allowing us into your kitchen. Our team behind the scenes, I want to thank them too for doing such a great job. Emily, you as well. So thank you, everybody who's joined. Have a good evening. Good night.
Good night.